Perfect.
We're on the record.
Yeah, I don't want to be on the record yet. I want to wait for my DAG. Actually, I can start the meeting without her, can't I, Yonit?
Yeah, she's just going to the restroom. You can start.
Yep, okay, no big deal. Yeah, more TMI, she's just out. Okay, so I'm gonna call this meeting to order. This is the Nevada Transportation Authority's general session meeting. It is Friday, January the 16th. It is a little past 9. It's 9:32 now. I apologize for the tardiness. My fault. I will take complete responsibility. I know we normally hold these on a Thursday, but we had issues with the room down in Southern Nevada. So we'll start with a roll call, and I don't know who's going to do that. Is it going to be you, Mr. Park, or is it going to be Mr. King?
Yes, sir. Even though I screwed it up last meeting, I'll try to do better this one. So, Chairman Von Hartung,
Here.
Commissioner Adam Teddy,
Here.
Commissioner Louis Zoka,
Here.
Administrative Attorney Yonit Wilburn,
Here.
Deputy Attorney General Jessica Guerrera, Applications Manager Liz Babcock,
Here.
Financial Analyst Garrett Hammock, here, and I am Todd Park, the Deputy Commissioner, and I am here.
Perfect. All right. Thank you so much.
Chairman, I apologize. I
For?
forgot a Chief of Enforcement.
Ah,
He is present. Dominic Del Padre.
I thought we established him at a meeting earlier, Todd, as your caddy.
Well, he hasn't bought into that yet, but we're trying.
We're still working on it. All right. You know what, Mr. Del Padre, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, sir?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. I've got a couple of people coming in the room. Austin, do me a favor, back out our camera so that you can see the entire room, please, before you leave. So I'm going to take us into public comment. I don't have any cards of anyone signed in, so I'll start down in Las Vegas. Is there anyone wishing to speak under general public comment?
Nobody's coming to the podium, Commissioner, Chairman.
Anyone in Reno wishing to speak under general public comment? This is just general comment, items on or off the commission's agenda. Okay. Anyone online wishing to speak under general public comment?
Raised online.
I'm sorry, no one's online. Is that what you said? Okay, I will close public comment. I'm going to bring it back to the board and we'll take it to item number 5, approval of the agenda. I know, Ms. Babcock, you've got some slight emendations to this, some amendments. So what would you like to do?
What I would like to do is turn over this general session to our financial analyst, Garrett Hammock, and just sit in and watch.
Mr. Hammock. All right,
Hi,
go
Chairman.
ahead.
Financial analyst Garrett Hammock for the record. We will be pulling 39, 64, 66, and 71.
You said
Let's
against
go,
Yeah, sorry.
let's go a little slower. 39.
39,
Yes, sir.
64,
64. Just want to make sure that everybody has this and I have it on mine. Got it?
66,
Yes, sir.
and 71.
Okay. Commissioners, looking for a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Mr. Chairman, moving to approve the agenda as amended.
I'll second that, Chair.
Have a second by motion by Zoka, second by Teddy. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. That takes us to item number 6, approval of the minutes for December 11th, 2025. Commissioners, any issues or any changes, any emendations to those minutes?
None by me, Chair.
None by me, Chair.
Is there any public comment on the minutes for December 11th, 2025?
Nobody's approaching, Chairman.
Anyone online?
No hands are raised online.
Thank you. Anyone in Reno? Seeing none, I will close public comment, looking for a motion to approve the minutes for December 11th, 2025.
So moved, Chair.
Second?
I have a motion by Teddy, second by Zoka. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. I'll get this.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Okay. Briefings from commissioners. I will start this. It's going to be very brief today. I just want to thank staff for the hard work. Everybody's done a great job, both north and south. Appreciate the hard work from our enforcement staff at CES and other events that are constantly happening in the area. And other than that, I have nothing else other than also to say Happy New Year. This is our first meeting of 2026. So, Mr. Park, what else do you have? Oh, no, excuse me, commissioners, I beg your pardon.
All right. Don't have much. I'll second what the chair had. And I also want to thank the industry for the hard work that they put in for these large events. They're not easy. Been doing this a long time, and I know that they can be difficult, but the industry does a phenomenal job of taking care of the visitors and the citizens of the city during these events. So thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay. Mr. Zoka?
Commissioner, I'd like to echo your comments, thanking staff for the hard work. Again, a large agenda with a lot of items. It looks like a lot of work went into this. I also want to extend my feelings towards Commissioner Teddy. He's going through a difficult time, and it's been reported in the media, so I'm not going to belabor that point, but I just want to say that how much I feel like I stand with him and with his family through these difficult times. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Commissioner. Okay, if there's nothing else, Deputy Commissioner Park.
Thank you, Chairman. I also want to express my feelings to Commissioner Teddy and his family. I've known him a long time, and I just pray and wish the best for him and his family going through these times. So, Chairman, one of the funnest things I get to do is hire people. And we've had a lot of movement within the agency recently. I also want to express my thanks to many staff members who have helped through the process. As many of us know who work for the state, it's not an easy process. But it seems like for the last month especially, we've been doing a lot of interviews, and it takes a lot of time and effort to that goes into this. And with that, I want to start with recognizing Amber Haggard. She worked within our agency, and we recently promoted her to management analyst, and she's going to do an amazing job. And she's just a fantastic worker. So, Amber, thank you. I would make you stand up and take a bow, but I'm not going to make you do that this time. Also, I want to recognize we have a new administrative assistant too up in Reno, David Marino. I think that he was going to be online watching, but we just welcome him, and we're very grateful for the work that he's already doing and the training he's going through, and I appreciate everything that he's doing. And then last but not least, I want to recognize our financial analyst, or brand new financial analyst, Shiraz Tarara. He comes from taxation. He brings a lot of experience. He's picking things up really quick. Liz working with him, and Garrett's with him, and she tells me that he asks all the appropriate questions. So that's good news. And then the last thing I have, Commissioner, one of the other things I like to recognize are people that have had set amounts of time with the state. And we have an enforcement investigator, Andrew Stevenson, who just received his 5-year certificate and is signed by Governor Lombardo. And I will be hand delivering that to him. He is not working today, but I want to recognize him for his service. And with that, I think that's all I have.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, let's move on to our briefings from Chief Del Padre. Go ahead.
All right, so from November to December, we saw a 31% decrease in overall activity for enforcement. However, we closed 77% more complaints, which they do take up a lot of time. So I think there's a little bit of shift there to close those. We had a huge influx of that 160 complaints over the 2 months. So we did have to shift our focus a little bit. We are down 20% of our manning, as well as everybody knows December's full of holidays. So that also affected our overall decrease in activity. With the interviews, we've interviewed 4 out of the 5 spots. We will be hiring 4 out of those 5 spots over the coming months. Oh, yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, that takes us to item number 10, report from legal counsel. Ms. Guerra. Welcome.
Thank you. I have no reports at this time, unless there's any questions that anyone has for me.
Okay. Ms. Wilburn, anything from you?
Nothing for me, Chair.
Okey doke. All right, thank you. We will close that section and we will now move to administrative citations and impounds, items 11 through 25. I think I have someone here. Mr. Rupert, are you in Las Vegas and do you want to speak on item number 16?
Please approach, sir. Please approach. Thank you.
Rupert, you have 3 minutes. Go ahead.
First of all, I didn't realize that I was going to have to be back here. This incident that happened, it was a human error.
Mr. Rupert, let me stop you. You don't have to make any comment on this whatsoever. We're just here to finish up the citation, sir.
Like I said, I don't understand the procedure, so this is my first time ever doing this, so I don't understand the procedure.
Sure. No. And understood. I don't want to put you on the spot and I don't want to interrupt your public comment, but it appears that you're, and look, and I'm not here to force you to make any type of public comment. You do not have to say anything. We're just going to go through this and adjudicate these things and get them finished and put them behind us, sir.
All right. Okay. That's fine.
Okay. Good. Thank you for coming.
All right.
I don't see anyone else signed in on items 11 through 25. Is there anyone wishing to speak on any item from 11 through 25? Okay, I'm seeing nothing. No hands are raised. Commissioners, thank you. I'm looking for a motion for a block on items 11 through 25.
So moved, Chair.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Teddy, second by Commissioner Zocco. We have asked for public comment. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. That takes us now to our discussion items. Item number 26, docket number 25-08019, discussion updating language. Mr. Hammock.
Gary Hammock, financial analyst. This is just looking at possibly changing the language for on the one hand in the state of Nevada, on the other. It's been on the Senate general session a couple times. Had some discussion on it, but we're just looking to possibly modify or make it easier to understand.
Would that modification, Mr. Hammock, in effect as retroactive? Would it affect any carriers that are currently doing business and the language on their CPCNs?
No.
Okay, good. I'm glad we put that on the record. So commissioners, as you know, this is something that I asked for some time ago. I do not believe that we need a workshop because we are not affecting existing carriers. What we are doing is clarifying some language, and I think that language needs to be clarified. We still have folks who feel that it says one thing versus another. So I just want that clarifying language to go forward. This would be on any new CPCNs, and that's my position. Commissioners?
I don't think I have anything to add to that, Chair.
Nothing from me, Chairman.
So there is suggested language from staff in the packet. What would we like to do, commissioners?
Mr. Chairman, I think that staff can handle this on a case-by-case basis. When an applicant comes in, a new applicant applying for operating authority, now staff understands based on the proposal here, what the new language would be relative to any kind of a new application that's being proposed. So with that, I think, I don't think we need a motion. That's my personal feeling on the subject, but I don't know if we have different advice from our staff attorney.
So this is, go ahead, Commissioner.
Well, I mean, on my question is, none of this language was ever set in stone, right? I mean, the agency can realistically change wording at any point.
Yes, my understanding, and then this is if I'm understanding it correctly, this is just a policy that the NTA wants to put forth. It's not a regulatory change. It's not a statutory change. So it's just a policy that staff wants to put in place, like this is how we're going to interpret this application of this rule, more within their powers to do it.
And I see it more as Commissioner Zoka and agreeing with Ms. Guerra that this is more of a notice thing, that going forward, we're going to use this language for any new application that comes in. And it will be deemed based on, the current revised and the suggested language. This is how we're going to be moving forward. So I don't know that we need to take a vote on it because I don't believe you're necessarily changing things. And as Commissioner Zoka said, it'll be on an application by application basis, depend on what they're trying to provide and what authority they're looking.
So let me get this clear. So staff can create a policy and then the deputy commissioner and myself can sign that policy and that's that.
In a nutshell, yes, I think it's a very simple explanation because if it does impact, and for the record, Jessica Guerra, the Deputy Attorney General, in a nutshell, so long as it doesn't actually change regulation or change statute, if the staff has any interpretation of how they wish to apply a statute or regulation, then it's just a policy held by the deputy commissioner and probably give the blessing by the board.
Perfect. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I have one question for Ms. Babcock, because she might remember this better than I do. I remember in the past have added additional language, clarification language on charter bus certificates relative to what that authority meant, including no staging. I believe that was also done through a discussion. It wasn't actually an actual regulatory amendment. Am I correct in that, Ms. Babcock?
That is correct.
So I think we follow our precedent that we've done with charter buses with clarifying language. This is a sense of clarifying language that's meant to modernize the language that's currently contained on the certificates. I think lawyers, they read the certificates, they understand what it means, but for the general public, I think it might be a welcome change to further clarify their operating authority for new applicants that are coming in. And again, I would not support changing the and I know you're not either, Chairman, based on your prior comments. I would not support changing the existing carrier certificate. I think those should be left alone as is. But for new applicants, this I think modernizes the language as you had envisioned with this proposal. And thank you so much for your work, Chairman.
Thank you. Yeah, and in my defense, the first time I read it, I had no idea what it meant. And staff had to explain it to me, and I still didn't understand it. And then as I started talking to some carriers, I got differences of opinion as to what it meant. So ambiguity seemed to rule the day with that. So I'm good with however we would like to deal with this. And as long as staff can deal with the policy, Ms. Babcock, this will be one of the things that you can check off your list before you retire.
Absolutely, sir.
Okay. All right. If there's nothing else, I'm going to close this item. I'm going to close item number 26. We'll take no action on it. That takes us to item number 27, docket number 25-12023. Discussion on DPS NHP authorized Atura, formerly auto return rate increase. So before we get into this, commissioners, I wanted to read something that I prepared just to take us into this, and this may change some attitudes. The NTA is not a party to the contract between Atura, formerly Auto Return, law enforcement agencies, and the tow companies participating in call rotation. Those agreements exist solely between those parties. The NTA's role is limited to recognizing that Atura's per call fee has increased and allowing tow carriers to recover that cost by including it as a pass-through expense in their approved tariffs. The NTA does not negotiate or approve Atura's fees, does not set or enforce contract terms, and does not require participation by any tow company. The NTA neither collects the fee nor derives any benefit from it. Its role is limited to ensuring the cost is properly accounted for and clearly reflected in each carrier's tariffs as required by regulation. So for me, that's the summation of what this is, commissioners. And I'll welcome any comments before we open this up to public comment if necessary.
Don't really have any comments to make related to this, Chair.
None from me, and I agree with those statements you made, Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you. So we'll open this up to public comment. I've got a couple of people up in Las Vegas. Do you guys want to speak?
I do.
Okay, Mr. Baumbach.
I'm Michael Baumbach, President, Milling Towing Services, Vice President of Cal Nevada Towing. I don't have any issues with the auto return admin fee or Atura administrative fee. I just want to point out that about 1 out of every 6, 1 out of every 5 vehicles that the admin fee is charged doesn't get paid. So it's not quite a true pass-through fee. Ewing Brothers tariff captures this, and in their tariff, they have a pass-through portion of the fee plus a $4.96 disposal portion that they maintain that accounts for the non-pass-through times when it comes in. I would request that if we're doing an increase and it's part of the scope of this increase, that other tow carriers can have the opportunity to have a little bit of a bump to account for the non-paying customers. That's it.
Okay. Tackett, did you want to make a comment?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead. I have someone else here in Reno.
Curtis Tackett, All Points Towing. And I just wanted to go on record saying that I oppose any additional fee to auto return Atura. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much. Anyone in Las Vegas wishing to speak?
Nobody's approaching, sir.
No hands are raised online.
Okay, we'll bring it back. So in response to this, while I understand your opposition, Mr. Tackett, we're not a party to that contract.
Fully understand.
So we're just here to try to make sure that you can recover those costs. So Mr. Baumbach brings up an interesting scenario, commissioners. Do you think that would be, and here's how I view this. If if a carrier wants to approach the NTA with a tariff modification to account for those lost charges, I think that's completely legitimate, but I don't think that that's what's in front of us today.
And Chairman, Administrative Attorney Oneat Wilburn, I was just going to advise that if they want to put it on a future agenda, that's possible, but we're not agendized for that today, so we can't really get into the discussion on it today.
So I would politely argue with you and say that I don't even think this needs to be agendized. I think that's just a tariff modification that they can go to staff with and ask for a tariff modification.
That's fine too. I was just saying, we shouldn't have further discussion on it today,
Sure.
just because it wasn't noticed. That's all I was
Sure.
saying.
No. And I'm just saying, I think that this is between the tow companies and staff. I don't think it needs an agenda item. I think it's just it's a cost recovery effort, and I don't disagree, but that's something that they need to do a modification on their tariffs and apply to staff and let it go through the process. So what's before us today, commissioners, is approving this increase in just, again, that they can add it to their model tow tariffs.
And Chairman, Administrative Attorney Oneat Wilburn, this is it's a tricky issue here. Know that the NTA should be taking a vote on this because, as you've said before, we're not party to this. This seems to be more of a notice issue that Atura's rates have increased, and therefore the tow companies are going to increase the rate on the tariff to mimic what the new rate is. So if we start taking votes on it, and I'll ask Ms. Guerra to chime in, and I'm concerned we kind of put ourselves in it because we've already taken the vote to put Atura on the tariff. That has been done in the past, and allowing that to be on the tariff. This seems to me to be just a notice that the rate is increasing.
Okay?
Mr.
Go
Chairman.
ahead. Yeah, Ms. Babcock. Yes.
The concern was that Atura was wanting to add we use 3% for a cash discount for the carriers that opted charge to using.
Okay.
They were using $1.50 be added for a cash discount. I did have conversations with a John McCorkle, Enterprise Client Service Manager from Atura. And he agreed that they were thinking that was for the benefit of the carriers, but we only allow the 3%. And so I did discuss that with him. And I just wanted to make sure he's aware that that's not, we just need them to charge whatever that rate is with the, between the contract with the NHP. So
Okay.
that's what's on here. I don't know if he's currently online or not.
Okay. I don't know whether he is or not. I don't see any hands raised.
It
But
would appear-
commissioners, I'm sorry.
I just said it would appear not,
Oh,
but we
I
don't.
apologize. Yeah, okay. So commissioners, again, what's before us is, this is just a notification. I don't disagree with council. Either the DAG or our own council. I don't disagree at all. This is one of those things that we're not a party to this contract, and this is really just about cost recovery. And I believe that at any time, any tow carrier, any carrier for that matter, can come in and request a tariff modification based on some type of cost that needs to be recovered. So, and this is a service that was signed into by law enforcement. Again, I think I agree with Ms. Wilburn. This is just all we're doing is just notifying the public that this is happening. So how would you like to handle this?
So for me, Chair, I mean, my only thing is that, from an enforcement perspective, I mean, clearly it's a pass-through. I think we just need to be notified what the pass-through is gonna be. And that has to be memorialized on the tariffs. And that's really my only issue with it. I agree with everything you've said.
Okay. All right. Any other comments, Mr. Zoka?
Mr. Chairman, I agree with your comments and with Commissioner Teddy's comments. I've also read the supporting materials that are provided by staff in the agenda, and I agree with staff's position. I would note that so they have comfort going forward, but I would prefer not to take a formal vote on this item.
Perfect, perfect. And if there are other cost issues associated with these recoveries, at any time, carriers can request a tariff modification. I don't think that that's outside the ability. So is there anything further?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, go ahead, Ms. Babcock.
Babcock for the record. Carrier would have to amend their tariff to change that rate. There is a fee included in that. It's a $10 per page. So that's not an issue, but it will have to be noticed to the public. Now you're talking about $455 to notice it to the public. So I would suggest that one notice could cover all. I had spoken with Mr. McCorkle on that issue. He said they would consider doing it, but I don't have any approval, any certainty that they would pay for that. But if the carriers wanted to get together and do it one notice, I think we'd be fine with that. We just don't have the manpower to be collecting it from everybody and allocate it and that type of thing. But there are 34 current tow carriers attached to the Etoro, or charging the Etoro rate.
So is the suggestion, Ms. Babcock, that we take a vote, and I don't know whether we're styled to do this, but I think we are. I think there's enough latitude in this to say that the NTA would accept one single notice that would encompass all carriers.
I think it would encompass all carriers charge that rate. I guess we could do that, or would we have to notice them individually? That would be a question. Would we have to list the carriers in the notice? Or we could do one blanket notice.
I think we would do a blanket notice that says that these rates have increased for carriers and that they may come in for tariff modifications. That's how I would do this. I would defer that to legal, and I'd want to get the other commissioners' opinions on that, but that's how I would deal with this.
Chairman, apologies. Administrative Attorney Yonit Wilburn, I was just discussing with our DAG over here. I don't know that I understand what the chairman's trying to do. I don't disagree with Ms. Babcock and the chairman's, idea on this. We don't want to have each carrier pay $455 for this. However, we're just not agendized to take that vote today because there's nothing in the notice that shows we'd be taking a vote on how to publicly notice the tariff modification. I don't know that we would need a vote on it because we're not changing policy or anything along that line. I think Ms. Babcock is just bringing that to your attention. So I don't know that we need a vote. I think that can just be we've done it before where companies have come together and noticed together. We don't need a vote on it. I don't think, because we're not changing anything.
I'm great with that. I have no issue with that whatsoever. Teddy, did you have a comment?
No, Chair, I was just having kind of side discussion with Staff Attorney Wilburn related to the the increase on the cash discount, where they were trying to give an extra $1.50 for people that pay with cash. That was my conversation.
Okay.
Which I'm not supportive of, by the way, for the record. If it's a pass-through, it's a pass.
Well, again, that's what's before us right now is that basically we're noticing this. And if legal says that we don't have to take any action for the carriers to get together to notice this as a group notice, I think we're good. There's nothing further. We'll move on. Okay. We're going to close item number 27 and take us now to item number 28, which is docket number 25-12026, discussion on timely filing of tariff modifications, including requests for interim authority. Mr. Hammack or Ms. Babcock, either one, and then I know Commissioner Zoka has spearheaded this.
Yeah, Gary Hammack, financial analyst for the record. This is mainly to make sure that tariff modifications filed have at least 15 working days at the date of filing so that we have plenty of time to get noticed. It stems from a prior tariff modification from a carrier that gave us a tight timeline. So I'll leave it at
Okay.
that.
Mr. Zoka, I'll give you the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This came about as a result of a emergency request for tariff to be installed to a special event. I would note that the LVCVA, I believe, publishes all large events that happen in our city throughout the year, well ahead of time. Carriers can be certainly aware of that those upcoming dates months ahead of the time. So I think it's unreasonable relative to the other carriers' ability to file intervention as well as our ability to notice to the public the application to put this in an expedited timeline. I think in the future, such requests for tariff increases should be filed well before the time that the event will actually take place. Before I put my on the table what I would consider to be adequate, I would like to hear from our staff attorney relative to the issue of noticing, what her views are on the appropriate amount of notice under our applicable statutes and regulations.
Administrative Attorney Unique Wilburn. Yes, it does. We do need the 15 working days. We do have timeline notifications. And when it says special events, I want to make clear that these are the events that are the big ones: NFR, CES, F1, the things that are coming through where carriers are asking for additional cars or asking for tariff modifications, things along those lines. They know they're coming. And it puts staff at a real disadvantage and other carriers at a real disadvantage when I don't know if they've forgotten or what happened and why it wasn't done in time, but these are surely things that can be done in time. So I believe 30 days is a good spectrum to encompass the 15 working days to allow that. And for time, and like I said, this is not something that is going to be slapped on the calendar a week before and you didn't know about it. This is referring to the major events that come through, which is when they seek the modifications.
Okay, so I'm gonna just briefly play devil's advocate. I'm not disagreeing with anybody, but it's my job to play devil's advocate sometimes. I'm a carrier. I've got, 10 limousines. And I know that CES is in town or whatever. We'll just call it the Acme Convention is in town. And suddenly a week before, I get a call from somebody who says, hey, we've decided to attend the Acme Convention and we need 20 limos. How do they deal with that? That's not a planning issue on their part. That's something that came up last minute based on late bookings, which are out of people's control. So I'd like to better understand how we would deal with those kinds of things. And are we just basically telling them, hey, because you didn't think about the fact that you needed additional vehicles, I'm just questioning how we deal with that piece of it. And I'm not disagreeing. I'm just playing devil's advocate.
So Chairman, we're talking about two different things here. The request for more vehicles is a deviation that comes in that goes straight to the hearing officer assigned to it. This is a tariff modification.
Okay.
So this is, it has to be noticed because it's a tariff.
Well,
The deviation requesting more doesn't need to be noticed. That just either gets signed off or denied.
well, they're gonna modify their tariff based on those additional 10 vehicles. That was my point. So I get that. So anyways, that's just that it's just one of those things that sometimes it's hard to deal with last minute stuff that comes in. And again, we just talked about cost recovery. So I It's just simply a question, but I'm amenable to how folks want to deal with this. Check your pulses. How about if we do this? Let's take public comment. Do we have anyone wishing to speak? I know Mr. Carson was in Vegas. You signed up for item number 28. Do you want to say anything, Mr. Carson?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
Brent Carson for the record. I looked at item 28 and the supporting materials that were in the agenda binder. I really have no dog in this fight or anything, but I do look at item number, the thing it's blacked out is subsection 3 of NRS 706-321. And I think that right there is kind of the most important part of this statute, where in one, I could really throw a monkey in this wrench and say, listen, I read 706-321. It says no rates or change schedule may be changed except upon 30 days notice to the authority. So I'm looking at this as, when does the authority even need to vote on it? This is more of a noticing issue between the carrier and the public going forward. And it says if the authority doesn't like what is being proposed by the carrier, then it may on its own motion set it aside and have a hearing and go to a vote or something like that. But we got to also look at the fact that this is an old statute. I mean, it says participation in a tariff bureau's rates and tariffs. My guess would be you guys are the tariff bureau. And so we already file our application and our tariffs with you guys, and we participate in that. So I don't know if the 15 or 30 days that I think Ms. Wilburn and Ms. Babcock brought up basically conforms to the statute, which says the carrier may prescribe a shorter time within the changes to be made of their application. It doesn't put a time limit on like, hey, you need to file this within 15 days before the 30 days takes effect. It just says we can file something asking for a shorter time period than the 30 days. I understand this, and like your situation was, some things come up in day-to-day real world stuff like this that's beyond all of our control. Things come up and it really burdens Garrett, Ms. Babcock, and all that, and the staff to look at these things. But we're just rolling with the punches. We're trying to figure out, go through this too. So that's my only thing is, if you're getting to also, I mean, I'm not telling you anything that you don't know, is that if you were going to change policy or change the way that things, the NTA has been working, are you setting a future standard for general applicability? And we all know are setting the rules as to what this is how things are going to go from now on, then that is 233B issue. So that's just my comments. Like I said, I got no dog in this fight, but I do think that the carriers should be given some latitude and discretion with what they charge. They charge it because I've told you this in the past 100 times that I haven't been a fan of tariffs since 2015 when Uber and Lyft came along, but that's just my opinion because they are allowed to change and we are not. So I don't think that's fair. So anyway, that's all I have to say. Do you have any questions, Mr. Chairman or Commissioner Zoka, Commissioner Teddy?
No, thank you.
None for me.
Thank you for your time.
I would also note, Mr. Chairman, I agree with a lot of what Mr. Carson said, although not. So there's some daylight between us, but I agree with a lot of what he said. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, my example, by the way, commissioners, had to do with, and this is common. Look, if you've got to do things at the last minute, it's not going to cost you. Just book an airline flight 2 or 4 weeks or 6 weeks in advance, and then try to book one 3 days in advance, and we'll watch what the price does. So it's hard to control those costs if they've got to bring in extra capacity and, you know, on a special notice. And so I think again, it goes back to cost recovery. But what do we want to do on this? Is there anyone else wishing to speak on item number 28?
Nobody's approaching, sir.
Administrative Attorney Yoni Wilburn, the only thing I do want to point out with regards to your airline issue, these have to be open to public inspection.
Sure. No,
And
I get
that's the issue we're running into here is the public noticing period. So, and I believe that,
Look, I understand. I do. Okay. What do we want to do, commissioners? Zokin, you asked for this. I'll look for you.
Mr. Chairman, I would just note that I think carriers who generally adhere to the 30-day requirement that's set forth in NRS 706.321 under subsection 3, which is a 30 days notice. I think the statute is pretty clear as to what's required here. I also agree with Mr. Carson's comment relative to our ability to prescribe a shorter time frame within which the change may be made, which is the second sentence of that subsection 3. But I think the application should be something more than just, okay, I've got CES coming up, because we all know about CES a year ahead of time. So I think there needs to be some meat on the bones. And if they're going to ask us to waive the 30-day notice requirements, there should be some justification in that application. And even under those circumstances, I think this is where the 2 weeks comes up. I think staff needs to have at least 2 weeks to be able to have sufficient time to be able to properly vet and process that request. So my comments go to the second sentence of subsection 3 and how we apply that. I think the first sentence is clear. I think that should be the majority rule as envisioned by the statute itself. Relative to the second sentence of that statute, I think we need to have some justification from carriers other than just we have this special event coming up, something you've known about for a year ahead of time. And I think even under those circumstances, staff needs to have sufficient time to be able to process the request that's being received. So those would be my comments. Thank you.
Can I just add something? I just want to make sure before you do, financial analyst Garrett Hammock, the noticing period on the tariffs are 2 weeks. 2 weeks. So before we make a 30-day or 2 weeks, it is 2 weeks on minimum on tariffs. I just want to make sure that was clear.
Well, and to Miss Wilburn's point, this stuff, then we end up seeing it after the event. It's an after the fact, and it's all noticed after the fact. And so I get it. I don't know how to solve this easily. It's just and to Mr. Carson's point, I mean, we're dealing with if you look at 321, its last amendment was in 2015, 11 years ago. So what do we want to do, commissioners? I'm happy to entertain any forward motion.
Chair, for me, I mean, from my perspective, the NTA should comply with NRS 706-321. If it says 30 days, it's 30 days. If there is leeway within that, then it at minimum has to meet the noticing requirement. And if it does not meet that requirement, then unfortunately we shouldn't even discuss it. And that's kind of my perspective on it.
Okay, yeah, look, and we don't need to vote on 321.
Chairman,
Mr. Carson, hold on. We're still in discussion.
Okay. And it is my fault, Mr. Chairman. I waved Mr. Carson up here because he looked like he wanted to make an important comment. So
okay. No, I want to get your comments before I let the public, take any final comments on this. Go ahead, Mr. Zoka. Anything else?
No, I think I've said, in terms of the way I see it, the reason this came up is last time around, I approved a request. I think it was was it like a 2-day notice? It was a request for a tariff increase for a special event was provided to us on a 2-day notice, which I signed off on because I want to see the carriers be successful, and I want them to be able to run their business according to the market demands and competitive with other carriers and with Uber as well. So I just sign off at the request, but I think on a going forward basis, I think what I'd like to see is adherence to the statute in general. And in those circumstances where there are special circumstances, I think the second sentence guides us in that language. And to the as that applied, there's that 2-week noticing requirement, which I think delimits that particular provision. So that would be my interpretation of how these two sections come together.
Okay.
But I see Mr. Carson is here, and I do want to give, if it's acceptable to you, Mr. Chairman, I do want to give Mr. Carson an opportunity to address some of those issues. Thank you.
Absolutely. Mr. Carson, go ahead. I just wanted to make sure that the commissioners got their opinions on the table. Go ahead, sir.
No, and I appreciate this discussion because it's probably something that we should have. There are some, I'd say ambiguities, as you pointed out earlier, but I think what we're dealing with is two different types of notice. NRS 706-321. The first 30 days notice is to the authority, not to the public. The public notification comes further in NAC 706-1355, where it says the deputy commissioner shall cause the notice to be published to the appropriate newspapers not less than 3 working days before the proposal becomes effective. So I don't know where you're getting the 2 weeks, the 10 days, the 15 days. I just like, and I had a question with when Commissioner Teddy said this, and it kind of clicked my mind. It's like, if we give them, if it's, let's say it's June 1st and I file a tariff modification saying I want to increase my rates from $90 to $100, and it's going to take effect July 1st, that's 30 days. Does it automatically take effect on that 30th day under this statute? Or do we still need to go through the staff or to the, well, not through the staff, to the authority for the approval of it? Because this thing says 30 days notification, it takes effect 30 days.
321.7 says it has to be approved. 6.
And as far as where the 2 weeks comes from, I apologize, Mr. Chairman, as far as where the 2 weeks comes from, that comes from NAC 706.1355. It talks about 10 working days. So I think, that's where that comes from. So there's an accompanying regulation to the statute, and staff's looking at a way to apply both of those in this context. When something is filed on a more expedited basis, what is the bare minimum staff has to have in order to be able to deal with that particular request? And I think when you read the regulation together with the statute, that's where that 2 weeks comes from. So, and, I would not want to entirely foreclose a carrier from putting in a last minute request under great extenuating circumstances. But I think the general practice should be to follow the statute. And if you can't follow the first sentence, at minimum, have that 2 week notice period. And that's what I'm proposing here. Thank you.
Okay.
Chairman, Administrative Attorney Yoni Wilburn, and I think it's just important to note that under section 1, where it says except as otherwise provided in subsection 2, 1A specifically says within a time to be fixed by the authority. So the authority has the right to fix the time. So if the authority says it needs 15 working days, the authority, based on the staff, if they're telling the commission they need 15 working days, the authority can set that as 15 working days because it's based on everything else it said. But I don't think we can go below what it says in subsection 2. And I think that's why it's alluding to subsection 2. But we can fix what time frame the staff needs in order to process this.
Yeah, no, I see that. Yeah. Okay. All right. Again, commissioners, what would we like to do on this? If we choose not to decide, rather, we still have made a choice.
Any advice on whether vote should be taken? I would like advice, Mr. Chairman, from our legal counsel, whether a vote should be taken on this item. I think the statute is already pretty clear. And I think that the staff understands based on our comments what we're looking for. Again, I don't want to 100% foreclose a carrier from applying a last minute request if there are extenuating circumstances. Obviously, life is difficult sometimes and we all have things come up that we don't expect. So I'm not saying that we've completely foreclosed carriers from being able to submit a last minute request, but I think in general, the way we let, from our comments, it can be seen now, staff can see it as well, that we prefer the statute is followed. And that in those cases where we have some flexibility that the minimum time period is provided, that's the noticing requirements are met under NEC 706.1355.
And Chair, for me, I agree with Commissioner Zoka, and I guess where my concern with it is I don't want to be talking about a tariff modification at the session after the event already happened. That should not be the norm. So I'm okay with a one-off here or there that is very close in the timeline with noticing requirements, but there should be some forethought before the event to get those tariff modifications in.
No, I don't disagree with that, but just sometimes it's hard to control those factors. And I used the example of adding capacity, but that additional capacity can cost a lot more money. It's just the nature of it, trying to find drivers and potentially drivers working overtime. And so that's, I mean, I can see it on both sides, and I understand staff's angst with this, and I understand the ability for carriers to stay in business and turn a profit. I mean, that's what they're there for. So I want to be very careful if we do try to craft a motion. I certainly don't want to do anything that would be contrary to what's in statute. So again, the famous philosopher Geddy Lee said, if we choose not to decide, we still have made a choice.
For the record, Jessica Guerra, I just want to let me phrase it this way, Mr. Chairman. I don't think a motion is necessary at this time, at least from the opinion from where I'm sitting, because this sounds like more of a logistical issue that the authority should probably handle on their own, because if you put it on a vote, you're kind of binding them to that vote. And this might be something that maybe on a case-by-case basis, maybe an event-by-event basis, and they have the, from my perspective, they have the wherewithal and the knowledge of what they can or cannot handle. So I think as long as they communicate, like, this is what we require, that should be enough. But the requirements, I think that they could determine on their own as staff.
And Chairman Administrative Attorney Yoni Wilburn, I do agree with that. I don't think there should be a vote taken. The statute is here, the regulation is here. Adhere to the statutes and regulation. I think it was a good discussion, letting carriers know, listen, if you're going to come in 2 days before this, you better have a very good reason as to why you didn't file your tariff modification, 30 days, or adhering to the statute, knowing that this event has been on the books for a year and a half. So I think you just.
So do we want to put on the record that my dog ate the application is not sufficient?
And Mr. Chairman, from my perspective, the reason I put this up for discussion items is because I don't want to have to come before you again in the future where I have to explain that I approved something in a 2 days turnaround and you didn't even have a chance to say yay or nay on the item because it hit the general session after I signed off on the item. I feel like that all commissioners should be able to participate in the approval process. And obviously it was an extenuating circumstance there, but I don't think it should become a regular practice before us.
No, and I appreciate that, Commissioner. And it's never crossed my mind, by the way. I look at each commissioner as having autonomy. And while things do need to come to the authority, I don't disagree with that. I think that they've used an adjudicative process that is fair, and they look at every issue that's before them in a fair manner. So I've actually never felt that way, but that's just me. Commissioners, if there's nothing else I'm sorry, go ahead. I apologize.
I was going to say, thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I see Mr. Carson raising his hand. I don't know if you want to recognize him.
No, I can't see that. Go ahead, Mr. Carson. Final comments on this.
Brent Carson for the record. I understand exactly. I agree with what the discussion results are. are leaning towards. I don't think there's a need for a vote, but I would offer myself and Ms. Rushton to the staff, because I think, as Mr. Parks, Deputy Commissioner Parks knows, the Taxi Cab Authority, your sister agency, has specific dates where they know that the fares are going to increase during this specific time period. It might be something that we could provide or work out with staff that says, see, like Yonate said, the CES, rodeo, all the biggies, F1 or something. And so that, one, if it's in our tariff, it says, hey, we're going to do this, then the public's on notice. But if it's not, then, that's where I'm at.
I think there's that can be done, but I appreciate the not foreclosing us, because it does hurt us sometimes. We can't get what we want.
That's an interesting concept, Mr. Carson. It's an interesting concept. That's all. I'm going to leave it at that. We're not agendized to discuss that today, but I'll just leave that at that. Commissioners, is there anything else?
Nothing from me, Chair.
Nothing from me, Chair. Thank you.
Ms. Wilburn, anything else?
No, Chair, thank you.
Ms. Guerra?
Nothing from me. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. And final, anyone from the public wishing to render public comment before we close this item?
Nobody's approaching, Chairman.
No hands are raised.
Sorry. Thank you. I apologize. I didn't mean to step on you. And no one's raising their hand here in Las Vegas. So we will close item number 28. Commissioners, that takes us now to applications for certificates of public convenience and necessity to provide tow car service. These are items number 29 through 33. Ms. Babcock. Or I'm sorry, I apologize.
You call me
You
Miss
guys
Babcock.
look, you're twins, Garrett. I mean, you guys need to dress
Absolutely.
differently.
Garrett Hammock, financial analyst. We have no comments on these. These can be taken in block.
Commissioners, I'm looking for, if there's no concern about this from the public, I would take a block vote for 29 through 33. But let me ask this. Is there anyone wishing to speak at this time? We are contemplating a block vote from 29 to 33. I don't think I have anyone signed in on any of these items. I do not.
And nobody's approaching.
Okay. Perfect. Looking for a motion for 29 through 33, commissioners.
So moved, Chair.
Second.
Have a motion by Commissioner Teddy, second by Commissioner Zoka for a block vote of items 29 through 33. 29, 30, 31, 32, 33. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Let me just make sure of something. So, I'm just going to take a pause here because I'm looking through this stuff. I've got Mr. Richard Eaton in the room and he wants to speak on item. Oh, I don't know why this, never mind. Is it Mr. Eaton in the room in Las Vegas? Okay.
No, but Brent Carson is approaching.
No, he's just calling me.
Okay.
I just, no, that's okay. This fellow wants, it's got the wrong date on it and it's on item number 120 and I don't know why it's in my stack. So I'm gonna let that go. Commissioners, that takes us to item number 34. I just didn't want him sitting here waiting and saying that he never had an opportunity to speak on an item that wasn't even on our agenda. That takes us to item number 34, docket number 24-09033. Mr. Hammock.
We have no comments on this one.
Commissioners? So this is a joint application of Vegas Sky Limousine LLC to sell, it's a sale and transfer. Is there anyone wishing to speak on this item?
Nobody in Las Vegas is approaching, Chairman.
No hands
Anyone
are
on-
raised.
You gotta put a bark collar on me. No hands are raised online. No one's in Reno wishing to speak. Commissioners, I'm looking for a motion for the sale and transfer. Docket number 24-09033.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve agenda item number 34, docket number 24-09033 as noticed in the agenda.
I'll second that, Chair.
Have a motion by Zoka, second by Teddy. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. That takes us to docket number 35, compliance period extensions. Item number 35, docket number 24-12032, request of Alpha Towing. Mr. Hammock.
Yeah, Garrett Hammock, financial analyst for the record. Docket 24-12032. This was for a medical reasons. We're in support.
Commissioners, any questions of staff?
None from me, Chair.
None from me.
Is there any public comment on item number 35, docket 24-12032?
Nobody's approaching, Chairman.
No hands are raised online.
I finally learned. Is that Amber? I'm learning. Okay, and no one's in Las Vegas looking for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve agenda item number 35, docket number 24-12032 as noticed in the agenda.
I'll second that motion, Chair.
Motion by Zoka, second by Teddy. We have asked for public comment. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. That takes us to expired compliance items. That's item number 36, docket number 23-01003, expired compliance of the sale and transfer. Go ahead, Mr. Hammock.
If this docket was on the last general session agenda. They were supposed to come and get back to us on their, sorry, I'm jumping in my safety net. Liz, what am I trying to say? On their compliances, and we've had crickets this last, we have not heard back from them. So that's where we sit at the moment.
Okay. By the way, fried crickets are very good. I have had them, but again, I digress. Commissioners, well, let me ask for this. Is there anyone wishing to speak on item number 36, docket 23-01003?
Chairman, nobody's approaching.
Mike from North Valley. We're trying to talk.
Oh, Mike, are you online with us?
Yes, correct. So we try to get a hold. We try to get a hold of Desiree. I guess Howard was the original one, and he's not working there anymore. We emailed him, and it got kicked back. So we need more extension to figure out who's taking his position. I think we were trying to email somebody from staff or Desiree to let us know who took his position.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Mike, what's your last name? Would you tell us?
Yeah, RAM.
RAM, Mr. Ram, okay. And I'm sorry, did you say RAM or REM?
RAM, just like the vehicle.
Okay, perfect. Mr. Ram, how much time are you asking for?
At this time, I think we're asking for 90 days. Reason being is since the old employee that we emailed over at the NTA is no longer there, we're going to try to work with Desiree and try to see who's going to cover his position.
Mr. Hammock, Ms. Babcock?
I'm sorry, I'm not sure what he's talking about. This is a compliance on a sale and transfer. The actual sale and transfer took place quite a long time ago. So I don't know what a prior employee would have to do with it.
He's saying.
Well, we submitted all the documents to the prior employee. It already had got approved and everything, and then we submitted all the documents and the additional information we needed to complete the sale. But like I said, he didn't reply back, and we submitted the documents to him. So we're trying to figure out where do we stand, like what documents and additional information we need to submit to complete the sale.
Well, hopefully you submitted copies of the documents and not the actual documents so that you
it
can.
was through. Yeah, we submitted copies of it, and we have copies and the originals.
Chairman, Administrative Attorney Yoni Wilburn, I've asked Chief Maine to approach and discuss this because as we know, the employee they were referring to, Howard, has been gone for several months. So
Yes,
maybe shed some light on this.
Ms. May, welcome.
Sorry, Desiree, Chief Compliance Audit Investigator for the record. Yes, Howard's been gone for a very long time, and when he left, I obtained all of his files and emails, and I had nothing from them. I did send them an email, I want to say about 3 or 4 months ago, and I have never received a response on that. So it has been going on for a long time, and I have no record that any compliances have been submitted at all.
Ram, we're in a pickle here.
Yeah, no, we have emails going out to NTA. I can actually provide proof of that. That's easy. Like I said, we haven't got a reply from them on their side or from the staff itself. So I don't know if there's a firewall or something blocking it, but we do have proof that we're emailing them.
Okay.
And the only kickback email that we got was from Howard saying that he no longer works there. Sorry about that.
One second, Mr. Ram. Hold on. That's okay. Hold on. I'm sorry. Who was trying to speak? Was it Miss Babcock or Miss? Sorry.
Babcock. If
Go
I
ahead.
may. I would suggest that he takes all of those emails that he sends, sends them again. He can send them to myself, and I will make sure that we get them on record and complete this. He probably, I would ask, does he have a copy of the compliance order which lists the things he needs to provide?
Yes, I do.
All right, then I would have him just forward that all and send it in again.
Okay. Which email do we want to use to send it over to?
I would use the general mailbox, nta@nva.gov.
Yeah, but that still leaves us in a situation, Miss Babcock and Mr. Hammack and Miss Main, of what do we do with this today? We are agendized to issue an order to show cause. Do we want to do an extension on this?
We're our opinion, financial and academic, I think we're looking to table it.
You want to table this item? Okay. We can do that.
Yeah, till the next general session. Sorry, table it to the next general session.
Okay, so Mr. Ram, here's what we're going to do. We're not going to issue a 90-day continuance. We're going to table it until the next general session, which means that it'll give you a little bit of time, about 30 days or until the next general session. I don't know the exact date between now and then, but it'll give you some time to February 6th.
26th.
26th. Oh, so more than 30 days. Thank you. I thank you so much. I was going to say February 6th. That's pretty tight. February 26th. That should give you plenty of time, Mr. Ram, to get the information to staff, and then I don't know whether there's a way somehow in the chat that you can share a telephone number with staff so that we make sure that we can correspond easily with you if we do have questions.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and share a phone number with staff right now.
Okay. All right. So we're going to table item number 36. That's docket number 23-01003. Is there anything more from the commissioners?
None for me, Chair.
None for me, Chair.
Okay, perfect. Let me do this because it is for possible action, even though we're not taking action. Is there any other public comment on this item?
Nobody's approaching, Chairman.
No hands are raised online.
Perfect. I will close item number 36. That takes us to financial rates and tariffs 37 through 47. Noting that we have pulled item number 39. So let's go, because there's some questions on a bunch of these, but commissioners, I believe we can block 37, 40, 41, 45, 46, and 47 if we want to do that first, or we can take the ones out of order that we want to deal with and then come back to a block vote. What's the desire?
Chair, for me, I prefer to do the block and just get those out of the way and then entertain the ones that we need further discussion.
I agree, Mr.
Perfect.
Chairman.
Perfect. Again, those items. So I'm looking for, let's start with this. We're going to block vote 37, 40, 41, 45, 46, and 47. Is there anyone wishing to speak? I don't have anyone signed in on any of those items. Is there anyone wishing to speak at this time on any of those items?
Nobody's approaching, Chairman.
No hands are raised online.
Okay, and I have no one in Reno. Looking for a motion again for 37, 40, 41, 45, 46, 47. Looking for a motion.
So Chair, my motion would be to approve item number 37, 40, 41, 45, 46, and 47 as agendized.
Second.
Motion by Teddy, second by Zoka. We have asked for public comment. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carries unanimously. That takes us back to item number 38, Commissioners. Docket number 25-05031, the application for Open Top sightseeing. Mr. Babcock, Mr.
They're damn financial analyst.
Hammock.
We are looking for clarification on, or some discussion on language in this tariff, specifically the subject to language, on the increase. We are not in support of that base. We feel that it gives it too much wiggle room. And they could do less than the 10% because it's, and we just want to make it really clear,
Okay.
Sorry. Let me start with it. We think that it should just will be 10%, not subject to 10%. That's our opinion.
So you feel that subject to 10% is up, it can be malleable, it can vary.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. So let me, Commissioners, any questions for staff before I see Mr. Carson has approached?
None for me, Chair. I'd like to hear from Mr. Carson.
Same here.
Okay, Mr. Carson, welcome.
Thank
Are
you.
you, is this your client?
No, I feel like I'm a backup quarterback in the fourth quarter and the quarterback went down and I have to get off the bench and throw a touchdown to win this thing.
So are you making public comment or are you representing this?
I'm representing them at this point. I'm substituting in. So my only thing is, I think this kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier, is that we are noticing the public that on these certain dates, you may have a 10% increase. So the fact of the matter, if Easter comes around and there's a 10% increase, they're aware of it and there's no harm, no. And then if we come to Easter week, and we do not apply the 10%, then they're getting a bonus. So we're not going to up anything on the public. Rather, it's either going to be 10% or it's going to be 0%. So the fact of the matter is, if it is a 10%, I think we go back to the dynamic pricing of like Uber, Lyft, and how you guys have all lived with the fact that rate shows up and you can either accept it or deny it. Here we're telling you it could be $100 or it could be $110. If they want to take the $110, they do. If they don't, then they don't. But the fact of the matter is, it's been noticed to them that during these specific time periods, the prices are subject to a 10% increase. So I think that's what we need to look at is for, I guess, for the industry is you guys give them CPCNs. They went through, they passed your test, they all this. I think deserve some flexibility in what and how they charge, how they fill the seats in their vehicles. If, for example, if F1's coming, the Bellagio is charging $1,000 a room. If F1's tomorrow and they still have rates, they're going to drop them. I mean, it's kind of a pick and choose. I think the carriers out here at least deserve the ability to move with the market conditions as well as anybody else, including the two largest common carriers, Uber and Lyft, which have the ability to change their prices on the fly. And here, we're providing notices for these specific weeks that say, hey, you may get it. But if we don't do it, you're getting a bonus because you're not paying as much. So we're not sticking to the public or anything like that. We're just telling them that, hey, it might be subject to a 10%, and it is our discretion. And that's something I think as a certificated carrier, we've earned the right to have. So we're
Okay.
kind of like goes back to what that 321, 706, 321, you know, says that you can charge these rates if it, so. That's
All
my
right.
question. Or my
So,
comment.
and look, and I appreciate the references to TNCs, but the difference is, Mr. Carson, is that they are regulated in 706A and common carriers and contract carriers are regulated in 706 in our defense. So, but I'm not, I understand the need and the desire for dynamic pricing. I think staff's issue came from a different perspective. So again, Mr. Hammack and Ms. Babcock, explain the angst that staff is having with the current wording.
I'm gonna let Liz jump on this one, just, she may be able to explain it better.
It is not defined, it's defined in the way that Mr. Carson's stating, and I do understand their position, but it's been our job to make sure that it's clear to them exactly what the rates will be. And so this is leaving a variance.
You feel that subject to is a variable term?
Yes, will be subject to. So it either will be a 10% increase or it may be a 10% increase.
Well-
Which is what he's wanting to do, increase it maybe or not increase it.
And financial analyst Gary Hammack, I mean, I think Brent, you said that on Easter, they could either add it or not. I mean, they may or may not. So I don't think, as the regulation states, how clearly defined that, that's not very clearly defined, I guess, to us.
Well, I understand the term may be subject to, and it's based on demand, and that, I mean, that's what dynamic pricing is about. It's all about demand. But the question comes back to just the wording. So commissioners, any suggestions? I actually don't have an angst and I don't have any issue with maybe subject to, because that's again, that's based on demand, and it's not, I mean, if we say Easter will be subject to, that kind of turns it, that turns it into a little different of a scenario. But commissioners, I'm open to any discussions.
So Chair, for me, I mean, I've been supportive of this from kind of the beginning. As written, it says will be subject to, which means it will happen. You will be charged as 10%. And then as Mr. Carson presented it, it was may be, may come on, may come off. I am more in favor of letting the carrier, the maximum is set, it's a 10%, and it's up to the carrier to determine what those ticket prices be. The public has been noticed that it's it may be a 10% increase. That's the public to determine whether or not they want to pay that. That's kind of where I stand on that. So I would be more in favor of a may be subject to a 10% increase on those specific dates as proposed by Mr. Carson.
Thank you. Mr. Zoka?
I'm gonna ask Ms. Babcock. I think, I see she has a trouble look on her face, and I want to, you know what, I want to hear what she has to say. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Actually,
That's
that's a
good.
panic, not trouble, because this sets a precedent. And then, and all carriers will have everything subject to whatever.
This is only this one carrier, right? How many carriers do we have under this authority?
Scenic tour?
Fixed route.
Fixed route.
Oh, one fixed route.
And,
So if
and that's what we're talking about, right? It's just this one particular tariff for this one particular carrier that has the only authority. And
Well,
that's why for me, I feel a little bit more comfortable because it's not a broad brush that we're painting with. It's
You make the decisions, but I just worry about the
No, I agree with you, but for me, for again, Chair, for this one carrier for fixed route, which we only have one CPCN issued, I feel much more comfortable with this based on the circumstances. I certainly don't want to get into discussion of other authorities, but where we're at right now, I'm much more comfortable with this.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Zoka, you had an opportunity to listen to Ms. Babcock's position. Comments?
Mr. Chairman, I think, I'm comfortable with supporting it, provided we make it clear in our approval that our approval has no precedential value relative to other carriers, because this is such a unique carrier with a unique mode of operations. There's only one of it. I think one of the issues that comes up here, and we talked about this at the last meeting, is how does staff supposed to audit the records of the carrier if the discretion is left with the carrier relative to what pricing they can charge, even during these peak, what I would call peak periods. So ideal, not in this case, I would be comfortable, given the relatively small amount of the difference here, the 10% difference, that we're not talking about a larger number with the 10%, and then this carrier is so unique. As long as we make it clear in approval that it has no precedential value relative to other carriers, I would be comfortable with supporting this. But what I would note is, I think if this was a more traditional carrier, I think I would be more comfortable with just giving them the 10%, and then also giving them an ability to discount in the event that their utilization doesn't reach a certain number by a fixed date. So that's something that's verifiable, that they have not booked, let's say, and I want to suggest a number. I think it's for the carrier to figure out where that number lies, but maybe they haven't reached 80% utilization by the first date of the special event. Then at that point, they can it's by 10%, let's say. I would be more comfortable with approving something like that, which is you're approved a higher rate during your peak periods. And if you have not reached a certain high percentage of utilization by the first day of that special event date, then you can offer a discount of 10%. I would be more comfortable with that, because that's something that can be verified by staff when they're looking at the carrier's records. So that would be my preferred approach in terms of these types of requests. But in this particular instance, I would be willing to support an approval if we make it clear that this has no precedential value. It's just for this unique type of carrier in this unique instance. So those would be my comment. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. All right, let's do this. Other than Mr. Carson, is there anyone wishing to speak on this item? This is item number 38, docket number 25-05031, the application for Open Top Sightseeing Las Vegas LLC.
Nobody's approaching, Chairman.
No hands are raised online.
Thank you. All right, and I see no one in Reno, so we're going to bring this back to the board. Commissioners, I'll entertain some type of a motion that articulates the concerns that commissioners have.
So Chair, I just want to clarify something with Mr. Carson. So Mr. Carson, are they absolutely subject to 10%, or may they be subject to?
And to address, I don't want to throw a monkey in the wrench with Lewis. These are all ticket sales. And so these are all going to be posted within 90 days of the event. So 90 days before Easter, you're going to know whether the 10% applies or not. So that in terms of auditing.
Maybe we add that as a condition of our approval today, that the carrier's website notes at least
advanced ticket sales.
Relatively, it's advanced ticket sales within 9 days of the date they're applying the 10%. Or would you be comfortable with that, Mr. Carson?
I would prefer the other way, and then because
what would be the other way?
Just the regular one that gives us the discretion. But I'm just saying, for your purposes of enforcement and stuff like that, I don't want to put, because I don't know if a web designer or something like this doesn't get me within 90 days, they do it within 79 days or something like this, we get busted. I don't want to put ourselves.
How about at least 30 days? Would you be comfortable with 30 days? That way they have something verifiable when they go out there to audit the carrier, that This was a known amount, this was in the record, and they can compare what was posted on the website versus what the passengers were charged. One thing we don't want is we don't have a discrepancy between what's on a website and what an actual traveler is being charged for the transportation.
I think when we had discussion about this months back, I believe when the carrier was here, he said all ticket sales are done through an app, right? Or on, nothing is attached to you and me. It's all done web-based. So I think that disclosure is kind of already there, being that they're being routed through to an app or web-based. I don't know that it's necessarily done 30 days in advance or 90 days.
So let's do this, commissioners. Let's take a stab at crafting a motion, and then let's see if we can get support for it or if it needs modification. Let's try it. Let's back into this space.
So Chair, my motion would be to approve agenda item number 38 that would
With the
modify it.
conditions.
Right, that would modify a tariff that ticket prices may be subject to a 10% increase during the dates proposed by the carrier, which would be Easter week, the week before and after the official Easter holiday, April 10th through the 31st, Memorial Day weekend, Friday through Monday of the Memorial weekend holiday, Labor Day weekend, Friday through Monday of the Labor Day holiday weekend, October 10th through the 31st, Thanksgiving week, the weekend of the Thanksgiving holiday, Christmas and New Year's week, December 20th through January 2nd.
And this approval is limited to this particular carrier.
Absolutely, yeah. And this would be based on the circumstances of this specific CPN with the specific carrier, and certainly would not set a precedence for other carriers in this, being that we have a limited circumstance of the one fixed route operator.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor by Teddy, second by Zoka. First question, does staff understand the motion?
No, sir, but I'm going to take note of the time so I can throw it.
I feared that. Okay. All right. So, but I think the motion was articulated fairly well.
Maybe.
I understood it. I mean, I understood it. And so, what I'm not sure if I heard was 30 days, Mr. Teddy.
Chair, I'm hesitant to put a date timeline on this. I would just say maybe advance notice because I don't know the web design. I don't know when ticket prices come out. I'm much more comfortable with advanced ticket sales.
Okay, and that's okay. I'm just noting what Commissioner Zoka had articulated.
And
So-
Mr. Thank you so much. And I agree with the comments I just heard from Commissioner Teddy. I think that's the good approach. So that works for me. Thank you.
Okay, all right. We have a motion by Teddy, second by Zoka. We have asked for and taken public comment. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carries unanimously. Commissioners, that takes us to items 42, 43, and 44. So before we get into this, Commissioner Zoka, I know you had looked at this, but I'm gonna, and unfortunately, I know more about non-emergency medical transportation than I care to. So before we get deep into this, I have some deep concerns with this. I'm not even convinced whether this belongs with the authority. And let me read something that I wrote. It seems like it's a bit long-winded, but truthfully, it's not. The requests in dockets 25-11033, 25-11034, and 25-11035 involve custodial transport, not common or contract carrier service. The individuals being transported are on legal hold or correctional custody and are being moved for treatment, evaluation, or confinement, not as members of the traveling public. Nevada law treats non-emergency secure behavioral health or prisoner transport as separate custodial service. It's licensed and regulated by the Division of Health and Public Behavioral Health under 433.3317. So if you'll look up Commissioners 433.3317, and it specifically identifies, it's identified in 433A 160 sub 2 sub E, and that's where I found this. So if you go back in statute, if you look in statute, non-emergency medical transportation is not mentioned anywhere except for 433A, as far as the NTA is concerned, 433A, 160, and 330. Only places it's mentioned that draws back to the NTA. 745, NRS 706.745 is by exclusion, not inclusion. So it's kind of, it gets a little convoluted. However, when you look up 433A 160 sub 2 sub E, it takes you back to 433.3317. So if you look at 433.3317, it says that licensure and regulation of providers of non-emergency secure behavioral health transports are regulations by the State Board of Health. And these are specific vehicles. These are specific drivers. And I know this because we had a tough time when I was a county commissioner of doing these custodial transports, of who should do it. And the problem is that if you have the sheriff doing it, and then you have Department of Corrections and others doing these transports, you run into a situation of duplication of services. And so that's why when you look at these statutes, and let me pull this up so that I can tell you this directly. When you look at 433.3317, and then you go to NAC 433, and you look at providers of non-emergency secure behavioral health transport services, down under 433.400 all the way through 460, it defines all of these services. And again, I know that this is a little convoluted, it's a little difficult, but the statutory framework established by 433.3317 has been fully implemented and through the regulations adopted by the State Board of Health and NAC 433.400 through 433.460, which comprehensively govern provider licensure, vehicle design, staffing, training, inspections, insurance, reporting, enforcement for non-emergency secure behavioral health transport services. So I don't believe that this even belongs in front of the NTA. I think this is outside of our purview, outside of our ability to determine whether those vehicles are secure, whether the drivers have the proper training. All of that is listed in 433. Do you guys want to take a break so that you can look at this stuff? Because we can certainly do that.
Chairman, Administrative Attorney Yonit Wilburn, Mr. Carson and I have been going back and forth on this. My concern is it's hard to have a conversation about this because we just don't have any information. I don't know if there's a contract that this carrier has. I don't know what other contracts look like, with the other contracts for non-emergency medical through Nevada Department of Corrections? What do those look like? Who have they been approved by? I just think we're lacking, and the authority is lacking so much information here. I don't even know how to start to have the discussion as to whether approve it or not.
And
I
Chair,
don't think we can approve this.
hey,
Go ahead.
I look at this as a use above and beyond the CPCN though. This is a use under like public and behavioral health. This is beyond, I mean, I agree. I kind of feel this is beyond our purview. And that vehicle would be used for a secondary purpose outside of CPCN related purposes, subject to the approval of the other entity. I mean, that's kind of what I see this as.
In their own contract, in their own application rather, it says secure transports are legal hold, mental health and prisoner transports that require different vehicle and vehicles equipped with partitions, drivers and passengers. Secured transport are also required. This all comes under, if you look under NAC 433.435, it all comes under, it's under somebody else's purview. Again, we're not in a position to oversee this. This is not the general public that's being transported. These are secure and these are custodial transports.
I agree, Chair. Maybe we let Mr. Carson, I guess, present the, why we're here and discussing them.
Thank you again for the record. Brent Carson on behalf of all three applicants in these dockets. I wish I could get an easy one today. You know what? When this came out, I was under the impression that it was above your guys' purview as well, but it was more prudent to ask for permission rather than forgiveness. The statute that Chair Hartung just said kind of takes it, secure transports are blah, blah, A, B, and C, takes it out of your purview, and under 450B, I put in the thing, it's the state of Nevada Division of Public Behavioral gave us a certificate. They certified us as non-emergent, these kind of secured transfer holds, transfers. I don't know, basically, like I said, it was always my position, at least for the mental health ones, that we probably didn't need to ask for the secure transfer fee with you guys, but like I said, we did. The passengers of the prisoners was a little gray to me, but I think the statute that Chair Hartung just read is broad enough to include the prisoners, because they're not part of the general public, I guess, at that point. I guess that's, like I said, I would much rather have asked for permission than come here and get cited and go sideways. This situation is not new. There are CPCN carriers that do Medicaid rides through MTM, which is through the state entities as well. And those ones are not regulated by the NTA as well because of a different statute and a different agency that they contract with. So
correct. Yeah, that's 422-27495, Mr. Carson.
Correct, yeah. And so like I said, we put it in here. I mean, if it's not regulated by the NTA, then we're fine with that. Just want to let you know that we had to ask for permission.
Chair, if I may, Mr. Carson, the whole fleet will not be outfitted to transport persons in this way, right?
No.
And rides will be differentiated if, say, a specially outfitted vehicle does pick up a member of the public under CPCN type authority. There will be a way to differentiate that this was a custodial ride or this was an NEMT ride, right?
Yeah, based upon the trip sheet or the invoice, it'll say who's going where. And another thing, and Lewis might have a problem with this, is if the prisoners, if a police officer is always in the van with them at the same time. So there's always a police officer at, and so they're never transported alone. GMT guys. So.
I've been on the other side of these in my law enforcement.
Exactly. So
familiar with how this goes down.
So anyway, I mean, that's why we're here today.
And commissioners, let me just stop for just a second. When you look at NAC 433.400, you look at all of those. This was all added in 2020. And what happened is, I'm this is not touting anything, I just know this. A huge piece of our budget as far as law enforcement was concerned at the county commission had to do with these custodial transports. And we used to have to transport all kinds of prisoners for arraignments and medical appointments and all kinds of stuff. And what we found is that it was much cheaper to have a contract to do this, which is what most have moved over. And then, of course, video arraignments changed a lot of things, but that can't always be dealt with in terms of medical services. That said, to me, this is a necessary service. I have no issue with it, but it is not under our purview. It comes under the Department of Health and Human Services.
Chairman, do you want to go first?
Yeah, this is Liz Babcock. I have a question on this because something that Commissioner Teddy said, would there be a way to determine whether it was the transport was used for a CPCN transport or not? But if they're going to be using these specialty vehicles for regular transports, they would need to have a CPCN marking and be included in their fleet. If they're not going to use them, then they're exempt from us and we don't care.
Yeah,
I just wanted to get that on.
These are separate. These are
Oh.
side of the CPCN.
Yeah,
There
most-
shouldn't really be mixing.
And from what I've seen is,
Hold on just a second. So that comes under, Commissioners, NRS 433A.160 sub 2 sub B as in boy.
What was that again, Chair?
NRS 433A as in apple .160 sub 2 sub B. So yeah, they do have to have a CPCN for certain kinds of things, but then when you go down to sub E, 2E, a provider of non-emergency transfer, non-emergency secure behavioral health, that's where I found 433.3317. There's pursuant to 433.3317. So I defaulted to 433A.160. And then as I read through this, that's when I got led to 433.3317. That was my paper trail.
So I see that. So the way I see it is that basically the company must have CPCN authority and then must do these rides under the other licensing agency. That's
Right,
kind of
but their vehicles are still inspected under a completely different, their vehicles, their drivers, all of that, it's all very specific, and that comes under 433.3317, and then NAC 433. Let me get back to it. .400, that was correct in my mind. 433.400 through .460.
Right.
So again, I'm not trying to throw a curve in this. All I'm suggesting to you guys is that, yeah, a small piece of it could be if they're doing transports that have to do with the general public. That's where NRS 433A.160 sub 2 sub B contemplates that. But then all of this other stuff which they want to do, which I applaud. I mean, again, these contracts are lucrative, they're necessary, they save taxpayers, I'll just say, a lot of money. Believe me, this really changed the budget for our sheriff when we were able to contract for these things, as opposed to having to provide that service internally.
Chair, if I may ask Mr. Carson a question.
Please, go right ahead. The floor is yours, Mr. Teddy, and ask any questions you like.
Who sets those rates? Is that the other agency, or, I mean, is there an agreed upon rate? Is it a contracted rate? I'm looking at it from the tariff aspect on our end.
well, to begin with, we provided them with a copy of our tariff rates because we were saying we have to abide by these rates by law. And what we've encountered is that in doing these type of transports, it does, as Chair Hartung says, it requires a specialty vehicle and another set of licensing and inspections, qualifications of the drivers. And that's why we came in and said, we can still do the trips at the agreed upon price that we have in the tariff, but we need extra to, to supplement our costs. And they know that. So that's why, I mean, even at that, we're saving the county or city or anybody like that. We're saving them probably $2,000 a trip.
No, I know, but where I'm going with this, Chair,
And I brought Tommy Davis, he's with RMT and GMT to questions because he's very familiar. He's the one that set this whole thing up.
So hold on just a second, Mr. Teddy. I don't think the tariffs apply when they're transporting under behavioral health, because then that now becomes under the purview of the Division of Health and Human Services. And it depends on who's paying that bill. So in other words, if it's a Medicaid transport, then that comes under 422.27495 and MTM and those Medicaid rates in the MSM in the Medicaid Services Manual. And if it's a custodial transport, again, those rates are probably contractual by the agency and through the Division of Health and Human Services. So I still think it's out of our purview in those particular cases. Saying no.
Chairman, Administrative Attorney, I agree with everything you just said with regards to the rates. If they're doing it under another contract, it doesn't really come into our tariff at all. It's just what their contract is, because it's out of our purview, as you're saying at that. So it's their tariff with us is for their services they provide under us, and whatever rates they're going to charge with the other contract is by the other agency and the other contracting agencies.
Correct. And honestly, who pays once they're under the Division of Health and Human Services? That's not in our purview to determine, nor the rates that have been established, because that comes under a number of different tiers established by the Department of Health and Human Services. And probably it's under DHCFP, if memory serves me correctly.
And Chairman, I truthfully think Ms. Babcock brought up something, and Mr. Teddy, I think the only thing that would need to come before us is, like they were saying, they're going to have these specially fitted the car is specially retrofitted. The only thing that I think would be under us is if you're going to use those cars for your NTA contracts, you probably need to inspect those and decal those and CPCN those, even though they're being used for other services. If you're going to interchange the cars, that's the only way, because it's going to have to become part of your fleet for us as well, right? If they're going to interchange them and use them for the public, like for example, they don't have any prisoner transports or mental health transports, but they've gotten more calls, they'll probably have to put in for an expansion of fleet or whatever it is, if they're going to put these extra cars in. And that's the only thing that I think would come under our purview in that instance.
I completely agree, but I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that if I'm taking a ride, Mr. Carson, and your client shows up and locks me in the back of a van, and I'm probably going to be a little.
What's that, a rendition?
Just saying.
No, and I agree with what you've said, and I follow the web of 433s through the 4s, through the 450s and all of that. And I didn't have this certificate that was issued by the Department of Health and Human upon filing. It was after I received this that I kind of spoke to Ms. Wilburn and said, I think 100% the mental health ones are out. And then I said, well, let's just go forward on the prisoner one like that, just in case there was some kind of questions. But I agree with Chairman. I think both of these are exempt from the NTA. We will use probably a CPCN marked car duplicate, but it's no different than when I carry as an MTM ride. It's just noticed different on the tariff chair invoices. Yeah.
So commissioners, I have somebody sitting in the Reno office who came in from one of the transport companies up here. I think he'd like to make some public comments. So would you like to come up and identify yourself and for the record?
Brian Gilbertson with Liberty Transport. I think we're talking about two separate issues on this. One is what falls under Department of Corrections or Medicaid DHCP FP. The other caveat is when you do a legal hold transport from the hospitals. That is under the purview of the NTA because those are community hospitals, and they're the ones paying the bill. So I think there's two separate issues.
But hold on, Mr. Gilbert, let me just ask you this. Are they behavioral health?
Yes.
So you're using a specialized vehicle?
Well, you use a vehicle that meets the NRS and NAC guidelines, which.
Under 433?
Yes.
433 is clear. They're under.
But it's who's paying the bill.
But that's not what 433 says.
Well, but if NTA is regulating the fleet of the carriers, GMT or.
No. I get what you're saying. Ms. Wilburn and I have talked about this ad nauseum, Ms. Wilburn, about how we regulate, and it comes down to who's paying the bill. I understand that, but in this particular case, now you're falling under a completely different guideline because your passenger is defined in other statutes.
Yes. The other caveat being, if that van is picking up from a hospital like Renown, UHS, then that van would need to be under their CPCN. So they would need an expansion, or they need to swap the van.
So to your point, that's where 433A 160 sub 2 sub B comes into play.
That I don't know. I don't know what that one is.
Yeah, it mentions that's one of the two places that the NTA is mentioned.
Yes.
But for purposes of today, thank you, Mr. Gilbertson. I do appreciate that. For purposes of today, commissioners, I genuinely don't think that this is in our purview.
I agree with you, Chair.
I agree also, Chairman. I would ask that we, for now, table these items and have staff attorney review the legal arguments one last time. And if, to make sure that we're not forgoing jurisdiction without reason here. And if she agrees, then this doesn't need to come back before us next time.
Okay.
I understand the argument. I am leaning in direction of the applicant. I think it's a very reasonable argument. I just want our staff attorney to scrub these arguments one last time before we forego jurisdiction relative to these items.
And what I'll do is I'll share the item that I'm reading from with Miss Wilburn that gives all of these sightings. I mean, if you guys know me, one of my loves of all of this is digging in and doing a little bit of research. So,
yeah, we don't even have. I'm sorry. I apologize, Mr. Chairman.
No, that's okay. Again, this is what I've found. I mean, I started at 433A 160 sub 2 and then just went down, and that's how I got led to 433.3317 NRS, and then which also led me to NAC 433 400 through 460. So I don't want to over-regulate, and I don't want to regulate and put our staff in a position of trying to inspect vehicles that we're not qualified to inspect. It's not a pejorative comment about staff or their capabilities, but it's just, this is outside of our purview.
Chairman, I agree with you 100%, and I agree with what the applicant said. And I just want to make sure that we review this one last time before we agree to forego jurisdiction here relative to this. So what I'm suggesting, we don't take action. We didn't have to table this item. This doesn't come back at all unless legal counsel, after reviewing everything, determines that it should come back. But at this point, I'm leaning in the direction of the applicant and what Mr. Chairman said. I completely agree, but I think out of an abundance of caution, I would like to have our legal counsel look at this one last time and bring it back if it's necessary. But at this point, we just don't take action on the item. Okay. That'll be my proposed approach.
Yeah, Ms. Wilburn, I'll send you the information that I have dug up. It's what I wanted to discuss with you yesterday, but I know time ran out yesterday, but I wanted to discuss all this stuff with you. But I'm happy to entertain Mr. Zoka's thoughts on this, and then we'll just go from there after you do just a thorough search of it.
Got one comment from Liz.
I have a question, Chairman. If we
Yes,
take
ma'am.
no action, what happens to these 3 tariffs we have on file here?
The applicant can withdraw it if staff No, I mean, our staff attorney determines that if correct, they agree with those legal arguments that we don't have no jurisdiction. At that point, that the applicant just withdraw the applications.
But I could withdraw them right now. And it'd be over.
Don't let the horse out of the barn yet. Let Miss Wilburn have a look at it. She and Miss Garrett can go through this and Mr. Zoka, feel free to lay eyes on it. And if you see anything, certainly, again, I'm not a lawyer. This is just what I found.
It only comes back, Mr. Chairman, if we have jurisdictional concerns. And if we don't, it doesn't come back, it goes away. So,
Administrative Attorney Yonit Wilburn, I understand what Commissioner is saying. Happy to get into this. However, I guess the concern of Mr. Carson and Ms. Babcock is we're just kind of holding these tariffs hostage at this point because we're not really taking any action on them. So, and we're not tabling them. So they're just sitting there. I just.
So what would you suggest we do, Ms. Wilburn? Do you want him to withdraw those and then reapply if you determine it's necessary? How about we do it that way?
So
I guess what's easier would be if I withdraw them and then upon your review, you say we have jurisdiction, we'd have to refile them. But I mean, if we don't, then it's over. I mean,
Ms. hold on a second, Mr. Carson. Ms. Babcock.
Yes, if you just table it and turns out we don't have any jurisdiction, then he can withdraw.
I'm with you with Ms. Wilburn on this one is that I just don't want it lingering around because we've gotten this authority from the Department of Public Behavioral Health Services since December, and now we're moving into November or January. I don't know how much longer we want to wait, or how is there a time frame on when staff is going to say we have jurisdiction or not? I don't want it tabled or the ambiguity of just sitting here waiting. So I go back to the chairman's initial comments that he and the administrative attorney have discussed about this ad nauseum. So
No. What we discussed was who pays. That was the ad nauseum, Mr. Carson. It wasn't this. It was the differentiation between who pays and we'll have that conversation later. We're not styled to discuss that today, but no, we have not discussed this ad nauseum.
Okay. Anyway, I follow your guidance in the web of the web of the NRSs that come to the conclusion that it's not within your purview. And I think we're just kicking the can down the road further. That's because in 2 weeks or 3 weeks or however long, that's what you're going to say.
Okay.
So Chair, this goes back to kind of what I was bringing up about the tariffs earlier. Since I don't want to penalize the carriers in any way. I'm more of the mindset that we modify a tariff page to say that the carriers that have been approved by this other entity may charge a rate has to be determined by that other entity and just be done with it. We put a blurb on the tariff. We're not kicking this down another month or 2 months before we make a decision whether or not we do or don't have jurisdiction. They can go out and do those rides as soon as the tariffs are updated to just include the blurb.
So let's back into this a different way. Hold on a second here. I get what you're saying. Let's back into this a different way. Mr. Carson, who pays for these transports?
Mr. Davis will answer this.
Mr. Davis, identify yourself for the record, if you would, please.
My name is Tommy Davis. I represent MTC GMT Reno Transport. Currently, who sets the transport up would be the payer of that transport, whether a hospital account or Department of Corrections or a mental institute. Those are the ones that would pay the actual transport fees.
Are those through Medicaid?
Medicaid would also be a payer. They're not through Medicaid. Medicaid would be the payer in that case.
So in Medicaid's case, that comes under the MSM and is exempt under 422.27495.
Sir.
So in the hospitals are not exempt, but the problem is that you've got a behavioral health transport. I think we're going to have Ms. Wilburn just look at this.
I have a question. For the record, Jessica Guerra, for those that also, is there any opportunity or does your do any of these companies ever just transport a normal human? Like if I make the call and I'm like, I need medical transportation.
They have a CPCN already.
Okay.
They are already licensed.
Oh, okay.
This is to go above and beyond what they're doing now.
Okay.
They're putting in a tariff on it.
Gotcha.
Essentially. So yes, they are already, they have CPCN and they're licensed with us.
Okay.
And what I would argue, and I'm sorry, Ms. Guerra, what I would argue is that regardless of who the payer is, these are providers of non-emergency secure behavioral health transport services, regardless of who pays for it. It comes under 433, both NRS and NAC 433. It now transfers who's being transported. So that's where this kind of takes a left turn.
And Chairman.
Go ahead.
Okay, Paul. Administrative Attorney Oni Wilburn, I agree with you 100% on this. At this point, we're not looking at the payer of this. We're looking at the patient because they're under a different sort of category.
Right. So it doesn't matter who pays is what I'm suggesting, because I think that there's some question about, and you and I have had this conversation, the differentiation between who comes under the Medicaid Services Manual and who are exempt. Ms. Wilburn, recall the ad nauseum conversations that we've had about this, about the only differentiation is who pays. If it's paid for by Medicaid, then it's exempt. If it's not paid for by Medicaid, then it's non-exempt and it comes under us. That said, this provides a completely different type of an exemption, in my opinion, because it talks about in NAC 433.400 providers of non-emergency secure behavioral health transportation, and nowhere in any of this does it say that they have to have a CPCN, and it doesn't care who's remunerating for these services. All it says is that this all comes under behavioral health. And so that's why I'm resistant, even though there is the caveat in 433A.160 sub 2 sub B. But are we having fun yet?
No, my head hurts.
Yes.
Can we?
Can I make it?
Yes.
One quick suggestion, if I could ask Ms. Wilburn, is rather than delay it, I would say, could we do a compliance type of an order as opposed to a regular order that says if upon legal review determines that are NTA rides, then the tariffs are approved. And if they're not NTA approved, the applications and the dockets will be dismissed by the applicants.
I understand where Mr. Carson's going. I don't want to go that route yet because we haven't even gotten into the tariff rates or whatever yet. We haven't had that discussion, and I don't want to, truthfully, I don't want to belabor this. I think we are on the same track. I really think our purview, I can say with 99.9% certainty that this does not fall under NTA, these specific types of rides. Obviously, like I said before, if you're going to cross-use this fleet of car, you know what you need to do. So, and like I said, and I don't want to hold these tariffs hostage. And I don't want, if they're under the, if they're looking at another agency, well, they're saying, well, it looks like you have a tariff in with the NTA. What's going on here? Truthfully, I think at this point you withdraw it. And if I see an issue, Brent and I work together. I'll be like, listen, you got to put these tariffs back in. They're not trying to circumvent us or the law, and that's why they're here. So I don't love tabling it. I don't love not making a decision. I don't love moving it to another agenda. I'm pretty certain that this is not under our purview.
Yeah, I mean, and again, I I would argue that when you look at how we administrate this, and this is just a foible of the law, again, it's through exclusion rather than inclusion when you look at 745, because Mr. Carson, you and I have had this conversation, non-emergency medical transportation is not mentioned directly being under our purview in anywhere in 706. Again, it's through exclusion. If you look at 433A, 160, and 330, that's where it leads back to us that says, hey, yeah, look, you guys are taking care of this. The differentiation becomes the payer. However, that presupposes that transport is the general public, not someone who comes under 433 who is a behavioral health patient. So Ms. Wilburn, I just sent you what I compiled. What do you guys want to do, commissioners?
I don't think I'm going to withdraw them. I'll just wait to hear from Yoni Wilburn on what you guys decide. And if she says withdraw them, do it. Then I mean, I just want to keep them alive so I don't have to pay the money again.
So Chair, for me, I'm okay. I agree with you. I don't feel these are under our purview. Obviously, that's for attorney to decide ultimately. However, I don't want to prevent the carrier from conducting rides.
I agree.
While we
So,
figure out our jurisdiction or not.
and I don't think we prevent them. I think they can go forward with their application under Health and Human Services as long, the same way they're licensed with us. They can go forward with their application there. So at this point, maybe just take no action on these 3 items.
Okay.
And then,
Or we do have a petition for interim authority.
no, I'm not,
pending.
I don't want to support that. But what I'm saying is go along, what I was suggesting is go do whatever you need to do with the other agencies and get approved. We shouldn't hold you up on there. If they believe they have jurisdiction, they're going to give you whatever they need to give you. We don't have any purview over another agency to tell them what to do or what not to do.
I'm sorry. Is the NTA holding you up from getting your approvals with any of those agencies?
I don't think so.
No. Okay.
No.
Right. So that's what I'm saying.
But it
Before-
might be holding us up as far as the rides that we can take. But I think
I
we're
don't-
fine.
I don't think it is, because if the other agency gives you approval, we can't step on the toes of another agency. If
Yeah.
they believe it
Correct.
falls on, and they've given you approval,
Go ahead. That's kind of what I said, 99.9. That's
I
pretty
agree.
close.
And look, again, this falls under a specific category of patient, which is articulated in 433.
so Chairman, I think we said everything we need to say like 3 or 4
Perfect.
times here.
Yeah, no, I know.
I think everybody understands what's going on. So I think we take no action at this point. It's not withdrawn. It's not tabled. If it needs to come back on, the notice is still there and we can put it back on. If not, I can call Brent and he can just withdraw.
Okay, I like it. Well done, everyone.
Thank you so much. That works for me.
Because it's just not possible.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Right.
Okay.
Nine. We just have to look at it one more time.
That 0.9%. 0.1%.
I can do
So commissioners, thank you, Mr. Carson.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Good to see you guys.
Thank you.
So we can press on. Does anyone desire a bio break? We're close to 12. I mean, I'm okay with moving on here because I think that we can get a few more things done and then just take our lunch break. What's the appetite?
Chairman, here's, depending on what people do, the hard stop time is 1 PM to do a lunch break. If we think we can get everything done by 1 PM,
It's gonna go faster.
Let's do this. Let's take a bio break. We'll come back by my reckoning at 10 to 12. And then that way that'll give everybody an opportunity to stand up, stretch their legs. And then we'll burn through the rest of this as quickly as we can. So we're in recess, 10 to 12.
Thanks, Judy.
You're welcome.